Is that how it should be with heel, or is that just something?
Yes,
Okay.
but it's a little bit more subtle.
Okay.
So with obedience and behavior, obedience, since we're teaching something that's unnatural, like dogs aren't meant to heel. They're not born to sit and down and come when we call them.
Right.
But behavioral stuff is more natural, because if she did something another dog would disagree with, they would just bite her. Right? And then they would bite her at whatever is appropriate.
Right.
So like, when we're doing behavioral stuff, like let's say I have a dog on day 1 that I just started training that blows up, I might go to 80 to shut the dog up. Like just to get the issue done. And then I go, okay, but that may not be the answer, the permanent answer, right? As I work with the dog, I might find out, 50 is actually the appropriate number. But in that first instance, I just need to shut it down. I went to 80. Does that make sense? Because it's just behavioral stuff. Just come in and go, nope, not allowed. So I'm not worried so much about where the level's at. Now when I work with dog owners, it's a little bit different. Because either if there's an apprehension to the collar, or they feel bad because of they think they're shocking their dog. I have to get them comfortable to the concept first. And some people are like real black and white. Yeah, sure, 50, no problem. Boom, boom, boom. Right? Other people are like, So I'm always like working with the owner.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more like you. Like I can be like super objective about it. So
sure.
I can be objective.
And then of course she's building technical skill. Okay. So behaviorally, if we know at 16 or 14, we got a dog here by the way. If we know 16 is not going to cut it for the reactivity stuff, I'm already at, again, 20, 25, and I just keep building off those experiences where it's not successful, and I just keep preemptively bumping it. For heel, because it's something unnatural, like let's say you're using 14 and she's pretty good, but you still turn on average 20 times a week, right? That's too much. I want no turns, right? Maybe once in a blue moon. So then I go, okay, 20. Then it goes 20 turns on average, 10 turns on average. I'm like, great. 24. Then it becomes 1 turn every few weeks. And I go, okay, that's a pretty big gap. I'm gonna just keep it at around 24-ish. Does that make sense? Your corrections, once the dog gets the concept, should go down for obedience stuff. Behavioral stuff, as long as it's not. Reactivity is, in my opinion, easier because it's like you're not carrying. I try to make it easier. Like, don't worry about the socialization. Just worry about the reactivity. Shut that down. Socialization is more complicated because we have to work on building comfort, relationship, friendship, dogs, stuff like that. What we did yesterday with Finn, we walked first together, and they've done a lot of precursor work, and then at the end I put them together, but there's still more to be done, right? But now you can see how it's more complicated, okay? Does that all make sense? All right.
So I have a quick question. So then, if we're taking her downstairs, elevator, and then we have like a side kind of garage that like all the dogs and the walkers can go off of. So we should pre-bump it to prep for the elevator, to prep for that side kind of entrance.
Anywhere you're going to come across context of reactivity, so that you're prepared. Just if she does great in the hallway at 14, but then you got to turn that corner at 25, just remember once you passed it back down to 14. If you accidentally keep it up higher, you tap her at 25 for heel. It's not going to kill her. If anything, it will help because she's going to be more like, okay, heel is serious now. Okay, so there's a lot of ways of approaching it. Other things that I'll do is if the direct correction for the behavior isn't working, then I go prior and I make harsher corrections for the obedience. To make the dog more paranoid about this than they are about that. Okay, so there's like no real fixed answer. I think you're gonna be just fine with the approach, with bumping the number a little bit and all that stuff, from what I've seen and heard from you.
Can I ask you another question? So on the heel, last question. On the heel, Kate showed me the trick where like we turn around, make sure that Elsa is kind of at the heel, and then if she's not, when we turn around, then we use the nicker to kind of catch up.
Correct.
That's the way to condition that obedience, right?
Correct. Because it's don't go that way, we're going this way. That's the main thing. If you're stuck and you can't turn, you can do the nick to bring her back, not the best approach. It's more so that's all you can do, fine. But when it comes to teaching the tap and turn, is best.
Paying attention to
Correct.
where we're going.
And that's where the number just plays a factor.
Right.
Appropriate, get the appropriate number, it should be pretty quick. Okay? Ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead and just show me real quick what you remember, because we went over the turns and everything, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go. Yeah.
Back this way. How would you rate that? 7 out of 10? That's why?
Just because I just needed to bump it up because I think like in our neighborhood there isn't as much going on.
Sure.
So like with 14, she was not really responding.
Right. So there was that, right? And what else?
I was looking at her, so then I tried to look up more.
Okay. What else? You're going back to old habits.
Okay. Oh, okay.
You're using the leash lock.
Yeah.
You're turning, you're pulling her back so you can turn.
Right.
And then there's another time, I think, to slow her down.
Yeah.
You pull back instead of
Okay.
remoting.
Okay.
Okay. So if she's not following your lead, that's the opportunity to turn the tap. Okay. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna have you remove your remote from your neck. Because what happens is your hand is going down here, and when we need to correct, you're creating this delay of having to reach for it, as opposed to already having it, right?
Okay.
Now, once she's fully trained, like I carry mine on my hip,
Yeah.
right? Because my hand's right there, but also my rate of having to correct is super low.
Right.
That I'm not constantly having to use it. So in the beginning, or not the beginning, but for you now that we're doing a refresher,
Right.
it's you're going to be doing more correction. Okay. So what we're going to do here is you're at what number?
19.
All right, so you're gonna look at Elsa, and you're gonna press the button when I say tap, okay? Tap. All right, so that's a pretty big jump.
Okay.
So we already have I'll leave it there, what I would deem the working level, okay? Now technically, you might say, well, why did we tap her there? Right, well, one, she shouldn't be laying down. She was in a heel.
Okay.
Heel is sit, right? Now it wasn't delayed correction,
Yeah.
right? But what I wanted you to see is the big response that she gave,
Yeah.
okay? So we have connection level, perception level, working level.
Okay.
Connection level is you see the twitch, but you see no response.
Right.
Looking at a dog,
Yeah.
nothing's happening, right? Perception would be and a dog twitching, and then kind of like what's going on, okay? Working level is the hell is that, right? Very, very kind of strong reaction, and we're gonna work at that number now, okay? Because that's what makes the obedience mean something in this kind of environment immediately.
Right.
Yep. Right? Like, yep. There you go. And you want it, when you do the pull up, you don't want to bob it.
Okay.
It's once you feel tension on the neck, you stop there, but you keep it constant until she resolves it by putting her butt down. Then you relax it.
Okay.
So think of leash tension as communication, both from you to Elsa and Elsa to you.
Right.
So if I'm walking with Elsa and she's in a nice heel, there should be no tension. But if we're walking and I feel this, what does that tell me? Intention, right? But what else? What does it tell me?
She's distracted.
But yeah, there's something on the side. Maybe she's pulling to the left. Maybe she's going to grab something, tap, you correct it, but it's telling me something's going on. Because I know when we're walking in unison, there's no tension. Okay? Now, if Elsa goes to my right side, which is incorrect, I would keep walking, but apply counter tension to the left as I remote, and then the tapping is what makes her shift. Okay? We don't want to make her do something physically, because then you're doing all the work. Remote collar is about mental control. Okay? So if I'm Elsa and I'm on the right side and she feels a little tug and it taps more like this, you're like, oh, I hate this, and she shifts over, she decided to shift over. I just told her where to go, using directional pressure, right? So it's real subtle. So you lightly pull up, she feels it, she gets a tap, oh, I don't like it, boom, she sits down. Everything resolves, okay? But when you bob it, she doesn't know what she's supposed to do because it's tension on, tension on, tension on, tension on, right?
Okay.
So when we're doing the heel, if Elsa's going that way and I'm going this way, at some point the leash is going to get taut, which would be tension, and then the tapping is telling her, yo, something's going on. She turns, the tension's going to direct her that way. She catches up. Okay, so that's how all that stuff works together.
Yeah, okay.
There should never be continuous tension. Now, you might think, well, how about when I was going to turn and I did the tension to slow her down, right? But heel is her mentally walking with you, right? So if you guys are walking together and you turn, you most likely just turn, right? You're following the lead.
Right.
Same thing here for Elsa. When you have that mental control, if you slow down and she's paying attention, she'll slow down.
Right.
If you speed up, then she speed up.
Right.
And as long as the communication is correct, there should be no need for this, unless that's like, you know, an out of the blue situation where a dog comes around the corner, it's, oh crap, right? And you have to pull back or whatever, the controller. But that was sudden, right? But if you're slowing down, yeah. There you go. Let me pull up. Yeah, there you go. But if you slow down, she should slow, and she should get that turn or that stop with no problem.
Okay.
Communication. Okay. So we're gonna try the same thing again. I'm gonna have you go ahead and position yourself to Elsa's right there. Good. And you're gonna let your leash go slack, and you're gonna take the handle. Correct this thing. There you go. Okay, fine. Don't worry about the
Can I
position.
lower it at all?
You're at 19.
Yeah.
Let's try 17. And hold your leash. Now relax. Give a tiny bit more slack. A little bit more, like 6 inches. And relax. Good. So you see that loop on the bottom? You see how there's like a little J there? The bottom of that J is right by her armpit. When you have the capacity to in the space to, I want you to have your leash in that setup. If it's lower than that, she'll walk over it, it'll get tangled up in her armpits, okay? When you have it at that height, it gives you slack for her to make mistakes and wander off, but not get in the way, okay? When you have to shorten it, if you're like walking past, of course you can shorten. Once it's done, you give slack again, okay? So what I'm gonna have you do, the same thing, you're gonna say the heel. I'm gonna have you walk at a fairly brisk pace, and then what do you do before you stop? And what do you do before you turn? Correct, right? So you're going to be doing those things before your stops and your turns.
Right.
Your movements were correct from what I saw. It was just the left hand that was kicking in the point.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's why I was like, today's probably going to be a refresher, okay? Yeah. So I'll have you do that, and then we'll swap over to Peter, and then we'll see what we can do with the remainder, okay?
Okay, sounds good. See ya.
That would be a turn right there. Saw how that right shoulder passed your leg?
Yeah.
Right there? So that would be an immediate right turn, tap, 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 to catch her up.
Okay.
Tap, right forward. There you go, and relax. Good, relax. Pivot to your right. What do you got? You got it, good, and relax. Forward. Relax. Good turn. That was a good turn. Good turn. Good. Relax. Buddy, come to a stop when you're ready. So, you weren't here. I have another client who's doing the exact same thing.
What?
So first you're like this,
Yeah.
right? You're like this little bend.
Yeah.
But then when you're walking, this hand is moving, and this hand is, left arm is locked. That's still tension. So you're walking, right? That's relaxed.
Okay.
Because you're already 10% tense. And it's very easy to go from 10 to 20 back into this habit. That's why I'm pointing it out. Because you will create, when you have this habit kicks into play, pulling back tells Elsa to pull.
Yeah.
So remote says don't pull, leash says pull. Now you have conflicting messages. And since remote is unnatural, dogs are meant to have that happen. but leash pressure, which is more natural, physical thing that they feel, they will listen to what's natural. Okay, I've seen it happen where clients like Jesse, like, I'm tapping the dog at 100, and they keep pulling. And the one thing they have in common is they're always pulling back as they're tapping. And I tell them, relax your arm, give some slack, lower the number, and then boom, there's the dog. Okay? So, when you see this little shuffling that happens there, just keep your movement.
Okay.
Just keep forward, okay?
So as much as that communication from Elsa to us is, as important as that is, it's important the other way around.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, walk like you would normally walk. Keep forward, keep forward. There you go. Bump, bump, and relax. There you go. No, you're good. You handled it. But you can, there. Now you're really. Get some little weights.
Yeah, seriously.
Power walk.
There you go. There you go. Keep forward. You got it. There we go. Good turn. And slow down to a stop. Slow down to a stop. There you go.
Girl.
Did you see this already?
I know.
Right?
Got it, I know. Break
So,
the habit.
I thought it was funny because you're like overcompensating. And you might need to balance things out.
Right.
Right? Kind of get used to that looseness, but you're so
Right.
used to the. Because this feels awkward, right?
Yeah.
But this looks awkward. When you're like tight with the left arm, but this right arm's moving, you know? So
I'm like, I'm relaxed.
So, everybody does it. Like, in the first class, it's almost always people up here, and I'm like, relax, 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 the whole class, right? And eventually it becomes, oh, like my dog is paying attention. And then these things start to go away because you're not feeling like you have to reach. Okay? So your turn was good, and you can see the turn's better. Remember earlier how I was kind of sloppy?
Yeah.
Because we played with that number a bit. And also you weren't letting the laying down happen.
Right.
You're being more strict about that.
Yeah.
So for dogs, and dog and human logic, right? Elsa's in an auto sit, right? From the heel. She gets tired. She lays down. On the scope of things that dogs can do, not bad. Right? But for Elsa, she goes, I know I was under command of some sort. There's typically corrections involved. I chose to lay down. There was no correction. So if I chose to lay down, I'll choose to be reactive. I'll choose to pull.
Right.
I'll choose to pee whenever I want. Just do anything I want. It becomes other behavior. Right? So when we deal with behavioral issues, it's usually a lot of tiny things that go unaddressed that lead to one bigger thing.
Yeah.
Right? So super black and white with obedience. Heel isn't about how little or how much less the dog is pulling than before. It's not so much about the dog being beside you and being able to do whatever they want as long as it's beside you. It's very strict. It's right shoulder to left leg. Follow my speed. When I turn, you turn. When I stop, you stop. And you put that butt down and you don't move unless I release you or I give you the next command.
Right.
Okay? And it doesn't need to be super fancy. It just needs to be functional and follow those rules. Like right there, that's a perfect healing position right there. Okay?
So then I can tell her to lay down then.
Yes.
Like
On your cue, you can either say break, or you can say down once we popped it down, or if she goes to my food. And we'll talk about more like the application of obedience as we go along and what's realistic.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have a dog sit for this long, realistically speaking, but for the sake of training and the concepts at this point, I keep it because of the discipline we have. Right.
So that she's always kind of listening and in tune with
So that little tweak from 14 to 19 back down to 17 has gotten you a pretty big change in terms of the type. Okay. So we'll do one more little walk, shifting speeds and stuff, and then we'll hand off to Peter. Okay.
Okay.
Should there be any more verbal cues or commands, or should it all just be taps?
So once you cue the command, most people repeat the word or something.
Yes.
You just use the remote to reinforce it, because that's what ends up making it
reinforce with the remote.
Correct. Okay. So like if you came to a stop and she didn't sit, people would be inclined to say sit, but it's supposed to happen on its own. So that's a consequence. You have to put foot down, right? So it's like if we're working and you have a task that you do every morning, and then one day you don't do it, consequence.
Right.
Like, hey, this is your job. You're supposed to do that. So I look at it the same way.
Okay.
She's clocked in. Once I see that, watch that left arm.
Okay.
I'm gonna have you put your arm out like this now, like go opposite of what you normally do. So that's how I look at obedience. The dog is working, right? And then when I say break, they're free to do their own thing. But when I cue a command, I don't repeat it. I just reinforce it. Okay, beautiful. And I'm gonna stop. And a nice little auto sit there. Okay, very good. Let's go and swap handlers. Okay, so what you're gonna do here is lightly pull towards you. Now up and tap here. Up and there you go. Good. Right. So when you passed off, and it's a real common with couples, is Elsa maintained the sit until like you got to the bench, and then she broke it and went over. Right. You would right away kick in because she was still under command. Does that make sense?
Sure. Just because we passed off doesn't mean
doesn't mean it's done. Right. So right away you reinforce it. We don't even need words. So here you reinforced it like 3 seconds, 4 seconds later, but you still went into what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
Right? So in my experience and opinion, dogs are capable of going back to something that they were doing seconds or even minutes later when you taught it correctly. Most people think, oh, it's too late, it's already been 10 seconds, the dog's not going to know what to do. I'm like, nah.
Right.
I'll apply the correction and see what happens.
Right.
Oh crap, the dog actually sat down. Sweet, absolutely. Okay? So we create a lot of excuses for them, which then leads to gray area, which then leads to inconsistencies and stuff, and that's why dogs don't do well. Dogs thrive with black and white conditions, okay? So, if you ever do this when you're working with each other and you trade off, just remember what was she doing prior, right? And reinforce it as soon as you can after she breaks the position is best, but don't feel like, oh, it's already been 10 seconds, too late, okay? If anything, let's say you tapped her and she went over there, you would just anchor yourself, you would keep tapping and use that leash to direct her of, you're over here.
Okay.
And then she puts her butt down and then we relax and there's no work.
Okay.
So again, that directional pressure saying, no, sweetheart, you weren't over there. I had you over here originally.
Okay.
Doesn't need to be perfect position, just general area.
Okay.
So you have your leash set up pretty good. I see the little loop by her armpit. That's nice. Do you know the formalities of heel?
No.
So heel is the on switch. Okay. Technically, if you don't say anything, Elsa is free to wander, peep, move, forge, and all that stuff. Once you cue in with the word heel, you clock through it. Okay. So it's her job to be here, right? To walk with heel is walk with me, stay with me, sit when I stop. Okay. It's then your job to reinforce that. Okay? Correct. So if you come to a stop, she doesn't auto sit, or she lays down, you would tap until she goes into position, and then we just relax. No need
Always
to say
until. It's just keep tapping until the desired outcome.
Correct. And the rhythm that I do is like tap, tap, tap. Okay. So you want to be like, right? Because then you'll probably make her jumpy. Now, if we're doing something like recall and I want to create speed, I can go pop, 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 pop. So I want the dog to move quickly, right? Right here is a stationary position that if you go too much pressure too quickly, you can make the dog scatter, and that goes against what we want. Okay, so slower is typically better for things like this. Okay. We only say heel when we go from stationary to motion. Okay, so let's say we're walking with Elsa, she wanders off. Most trainers or people would say heel to bring the dog back. Remote. Boom. You're not supposed to leave a leg anyways. Okay.
Slowing down from walking to a stop, no heel, just
slow down
she
to a
doesn't
stop.
correct, tap, tap.
You would turn and tap. Correct, right? So we're walking with Elsa. You're going to come to a stop. You slow down. She keeps going. Yep. Tap, tap, tap. Turn to lock her back in again. Okay.
Tap first, then turn.
Simultaneously. Okay. Yeah. Because you did your job, right? You're like, hey, I slowed down.
I gave you the cue.
Exactly. You didn't slow down. There's a correction, right? So it's like if you're driving. If you slow down to stop and the person behind you's not paying attention and they crash into you, it's like, hey, I pump my brakes. Like, you should have been paying attention, right? Same kind of concept. Same thing for the turns. We won't worry too much about the turn tip today. Very good. We're just gonna keep it pretty basic, because the turns then get formal with what leg.
I've been doing right turns. I know Kate has been kind of doing this like
crossover.
Yeah, the crossover turn. I haven't done that.
Yeah. So just worry about the about turns.
Okay. about turn is what I...
The 180 to the right, correct. So there's two types of about turns. There's the correctional about turn where she just goes and you just turn, tap, 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 bring her to your side, right? The other turn is when she is paying attention, where you would slow down and you'd pivot out. Now, if you're slowing down, technically, you can make either turn because she should be here, and the turn should be fine until we get to the specifics of it, right? For the pivot, when Elsa's paying attention, you know, you slow down and we extend the left leg and rock back this way. You don't have to worry about doing that if she's already far gone, like if she's already passing. Because people then get confused because they're thinking like, oh, if we have this communication now to pivot like this specifically, if the dog's going, they think they still have to. I go, no. It's only when the dog is paying attention that you do the specifics, okay? Because that's only fair. Sure. If you just abruptly turn out of nowhere and she's right on your side and she doesn't get it, it's going to be a problem. Does that make sense? Okay. So the last thing we're going to add in is when you cue the word heel, I find it easiest to say heel first, then move forward with your left leg. Okay. The reason is dogs have a wider peripheral range, so the left leg becomes a visual of we're moving. In more advanced training, right leg means I move, you don't move, and left leg means you move with me. Okay. So it's kind of just getting her used to what these body language cues mean. For her to pick up on. Okay. Question so far?
So when I'm slowing or when I'm about to turn, I'm not doing an abrupt turn. I'm going to slow down the turn.
Correct. Now if she's passing you, you just abrupt turn. Okay. So if she's paying attention, slow turn. She's not paying attention, abrupt turn. Okay.
What about when I saw Kate when she was walking with Kate? That she was trying to like get in front of her or like turn sideways. What's that?
You have two, because on one of them I think she's trying to run to you.
Yeah.
One would have been to pivot, because when she crossed over this way, if Kate would have pivoted, it would have brought her here, right? Or if she crosses over, if you can catch it, I'll just go straight through the leg. Bump the dog very firmly, the dog goes crap, right? So now the dog thinks
you're like inside foot or something.
Yeah, your shin or whatever. Like you're not trying to kick the dog, right? But like sometimes you get dogs that
I've done that before where I kind of like
cross over, and you go boom.
Not
right?
like hard, but just like
yes, let's get out the way.
Yeah.
So what she thinks is if I cross over, they're just gonna walk right through me. So I'm gonna, it's like if you try to just cut someone off, you're gonna crash, right? So it's the same thing for the dog. They don't want to crash into you. That I use that physicality, no remote there, because then it's me that she's becoming wary of. Okay, so it's a balance of watching you and your movements and being wary of your legs, and then remote when she's in the wrong position. Okay.
Heel.
No, that's it. All right, so heel, left leg.
Heel. Heel.
Yeah. Good. Good turn. Yep. Good.
I give her more slack.
Give it a little bit, like maybe. That's good right there. Yeah. You're going to come to a stop right there. Good. So you just weave through like 4 groups of people.
Yeah.
Just right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Because of remote.
Yeah.
It's super easy.
Yeah. Okay.
So all your turns.
This was fine.
Yeah. The only thing was you said heel, and then as you 5 steps later you said heel.
I know.
Yeah,
It's just bad habit because like when Kate's been reminding me like ever since I think it was yesterday just to not do as much verbal and just do more of this.
Correct. So one word to start it, and then the more you use the remote to reinforce it, the less you use it over the course of time. So if I tell my dogs heel, so I used to walk my dogs off leash because I used to live in South Loop across from Grand Park. I'd go all the way from across Grand Park to the lakefront, all the way up to the river, back, up and down Michigan. 3 dogs off leash on a perfect heel. I'd say it once and they were glued to me. Okay, but it's because in the training process, any mistake or something that they didn't correct, always correct it with the remote, as opposed to trying to say the word all the time. The word doesn't really mean anything. It's what we put behind the word to make it happen.
Consequence.
Exactly. So if my mom said, Jesse, don't do that, it was just Jesse, don't do that. Until I got spanked for the first time. And then Jesse, don't do that had a totally different meaning, right? So same thing for the dog. And we don't have to be mean, it's just the appropriate number, right? I get some dogs that they need like 65 to be this obedient. She just needs, at this moment, 17. Okay? So we'll do a few more of the heels and stuff. If all that's looking good, we can Did you ever go over steak? No? What we'll do is we'll go over steak because that'll be easier. And next class we'll pick up on the recall. Okay?
Deal.
Turn. Left foot.
Always left foot, right?
For the pivot?
Yeah. Pivot, do I want to do a left?
Yeah. Don't worry about being super correct right now. I'd rather you pick up on like that, where you correct the auto sit that it happened, or correcting when she passes. Leg movements, we can always, she can either teach you in the week, and we'll get that to be more specific. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot of information.
How much on the pivot or on the turn do I need to be strict and disciplined for just catching up? Has she been pretty close
Yeah,
to
as
me?
long as she's turning with you. Because what happens when you start to pivot, if she's not paying attention, you're going to get that.
And I've gotten that tension before, so I know what that feels like. But
Correct.
this is not that, so this is good.
Yeah, I don't care if she's a little bit behind. After you complete the turn, a lot of dogs will speed up and just lock in.
Yeah.
Right shoulder to left leg is perfect positioning. A little behind is okay, but never in front. Not even an inch, okay? Because I've seen dogs play with that inch where they're like working a bit. Yep. So if you see that happen, some dogs will turn and they'll turn with you. So they learn to play with it, but then also be spot on with the correction. So it's like the owner goes, well, how do I correct that? So then I flip it, and then I tap first, and then I turn. So there's no way for the dog to beat it. That makes sense?
Yeah.
But so if you see that, most likely again, just number.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I would do is in your neighborhood and stuff, go from 14 to 17, 19-ish, and see how that improves the walking. Okay, we'll do a few more.
Deal.
Good turn.
Is the stop too much? Like, is that confusing?
It should be fluid.
Am I stopping too abruptly?
So it's not abruptly. So go ahead and go into your turn here, and just keep walking. There you go, like that.
Got it. Yeah, I just slow down to stop and then turn, but literally do it in the same.
Yeah, as long as she's following you, you're fine. There you go, like that. That's fine.
Do like one more.
Yeah.
It's like a horse. How she drops.
There you go, and slow stop. Good. So that on that stop, you see how she got a foot ahead? Because it was an abrupt stop, right? So you went 1, 2, stop.
She was already
Right,
Oh.
so then you want to keep slowing it down. It's at least 3 steps because you went into your emotion, turn, stop, right? The other turn that you did when you did turn to stop, it was a very slow turn, so very easy for her to catch the next movement. So if your speed is like a normal pace, you'll be slowing down at least 3 steps, if not more, and you'll see her, or she'll start to lock in and you go, okay, cool, I got your attention, and then you'll stop and then you'll be more sort of sit. Okay?
This is good because when I walk normally, I don't slow down. I literally just abruptly stop just by myself.
Yes.
So this has been good training for me to just like remember
Yeah.
when I'm
But
by
he was
myself.
slowing down even when he was not with Elsa.
Yeah. I get this at crosswalk. I just like literally abruptly stop.
I do the same because I do this all
You're in
the
the
time.
city, you know. You're walking around. You're walking fast.
Yeah. So especially if you're a fast walker, you know, one thing about fast walkers is if you're having a hard time with the slowing down from stops because you're just so used to walking fast, is what I'll tell them is when you walk with your dog, slow down already.
Yeah.
And then since they're already in their head about their pace, it makes it easy for them to slow down for the stops and turns as well. You know, when you're on your own, it doesn't matter. But when you're with Elsa, just like when you're driving on the street, there's other people, and you do it to be respectful, but also to communicate and to like prevent something happening. Same for Elsa, right? You're communicating with her like, hey, we're slowing down. Again, if you're doing your job and she's paying attention, it should be super smooth. If she's not, oh, tap, tap, tap. We abrupt turn. If you have to go back that way, you simply turn again, and then come to that stop or whatever. Okay. Now, one thing I will point out is a lot of people. Let's say you're coming to a red light, you slow down. Elsa keeps going, and you just pull her back because people think, well, she's going to stop anyway. It's not a big deal. I go, in the scope of what dogs can do. But for obedience, you're untraining and you're teaching your dog that they don't need to stop with you, right? So it's, even though I'm coming to a stop sign or a stoplight, they go, tap, turn, correct it, come back again, slow down, we stop together. Okay, it's a very strict looking command, and the better it is in terms of black and whiteness, reactivity stuff and all that, we don't worry about. Okay, questions? Okay, do you want to swap and I work with you on the stay?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Alrighty, so for the stay, very simple. You're going to start from a healing position. So when we come to a stop and Elsa sits, it's not a sit. When
Stay. Wait, when she sits with us?
yeah, if you're walking,
Yeah.
you come to a stop and you auto, right? So what's the last thing you told me?
Yeah.
Yes. It's the heel. Okay. The sit is built into it. Okay. Package. People read it as the visual, right? Like it's an auto sit. So if you move again, Elsa's response most likely will be to move with you. Sit is put your butt down, don't move. So if I'm moving, the dog's not moving.
Right.
That's the difference, right? So for the stay command, the way that I teach it is most trainers go sit, stay, down, stay, go to your bed, stay. I don't do that. Okay, it's implied. Go lay down, go to your bed, put your butt down, don't move.
Auto stay.
Yeah, it's completely implied. The only time I use stay is when the dog's already in position. So right now, you're in a heel. It's an auto sit. So if you move, you don't want to move. So here, human logic says I can't say sit. He's already doing it. I could say down, but we've not taught it with remote yet. So instead, we're going to teach to stay. So stay means now you don't move the position you're in, and it technically becomes a sit. Does that make sense? So if Elsa were to be laying on the couch on her own time, she can get up or whatever, right? But if I decide, you know what, I need you to not move, stay. Then it were to become a down command, right? If she was in her bed, stay. Then it would become a place command. In this case, stay would become a sit command, okay? So what you're gonna do is how you start with the heel, you do a little walk, a little stop, a little auto sit. You're gonna go with your left hand and say stay as you wave. Don't worry if Elsa looks at it or not, okay? Don't worry about getting the attention, just stay. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna shorten your leash a bit, and you're gonna pivot out with your right leg in one swoop to face Elsa, okay? If in that process, when you're doing this, if Elsa starts to get up, you're gonna pull up and tap and get her to put her butt down. You're not gonna say anything with just that communication, and you wanna prevent her from coming to you, okay? Because for the past few months, tap is meant here. And now we're teaching Elsa tap means something else, okay? So when you swivel out, you might see that up tap, she puts her butt down, then I continue with the movement.
Okay.
Then you're gonna come back, good girl, wait a moment, heel, left leg, do a little bit, come to a stop, stay, pivot out, pivot back in, heel, okay? When you're ready.
And you said be taught in the leash when you are doing the pivot out.
Tap to your left, tap to your left. There you go. Not taught, but like ready. So that right if she gets up, you're immediately catching her, preventing her from coming to you. Okay. Right? Up, tap. Almost. So remember, stay, right? That wave. So you gave the verbal cue. Cross her face. Like that, exactly. And then you did like a multi-step swing. So it's like this. So it's one swing out, you should be in front of Elsa. Okay? Like that. Perfect. Then back to the side. Like that. There you go. Yep. Good. Good. 3 more?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. You won't worry about the little turn.
Stay.
Good. 2 more.
Yeah.
Go ahead and shorten your leash a little bit. There you go.
Stay.
Good. Last one.
Yeah.
That was your left leg.
Oh, I was supposed to do my right leg?
Yeah. So, go try it again.
Wait, with my... Oh, okay. Stay.
Like that. Now pause for a second. Good. Right. So on that last one, remember, left leg is heel. So you started like that, and then you stepped out. So then it becomes, is that a heel? Right? And then back to her side. Good. Go ahead and bring Elsa here.
Yeah.
Good. We're gonna make a couple of tweaks.
Okay.
Yeah, up. There you go. And then back to her side. Good. So, you have a habit of stay and jumping right into the pivot.
Okay.
Add a little bit of a delay.
Okay.
Stay,
Okay.
and then step out. Okay. We're gonna do the same thing, except now once you've given this day and you pivot out, wait that moment. Then you're gonna start to walk around Elsa in a half move. Okay, on the front, and then you'll come back to the front, back to the side, good girl. Okay. Now when you're doing this, have your leash shorter and ready, if not taut, but just ready, because in case you saw right there when she got up, and she just walked right over to you. If you have to tap her motor, you're trying to prevent her from getting to you. Because then if she does, she ends up thinking like that's what she was supposed to do. But I want to tap her away from me, so when she gets butt dash with, this doesn't mean to go back to you, it means to sit back where I was. Okay? When you're ready? Yep. There you go. Like that. Good. Up, tap, right? Up, tap. So have your leash a little shorter, That's good. Now start the half move. Up. There you go. Up. 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 Right. Keep moving. We're on the other way. Yep. Good. Back to the side. Up. Keep moving. Right. Again. Try again. Feel. Good. Excellent. Back to the side. Good. 3 more. Yeah. Yep. Good.
Stay.
Yeah. Right. So you always want to be anticipating that she taps forward. Yep. Right.
Maybe
So
hear me
what
say
you're gonna
stay.
do? No, is because you have too much slack. So
Okay.
shorten. Go to half the leash.
Okay.
Because what happens is you're going like this to stop her, but she's got the full leash to come back to.
Yeah. Okay.
And what you're wanting to put space between everything. So she moves up, tap, she corrects.
Yeah.
Wait a moment,
Okay.
then move.
Okay.
And you're going from up tap and you're moving like this.
Yeah.
It's very boom, 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 boom. That it's keeping her
Okay.
wanting to follow. Okay. So for the stay, because it's a slow or don't move type of motion,
Yeah.
I go like always moments in between
Okay.
to ease the dog into it until you go stay and then you just walk out and it's more so normal. Okay? Go ahead and reset. Try it again.
Heel.
Yep. Forward. There you go. She thought about it. Good. Up. Yeah. Right. And you want to keep like this. When you do the up, you want to separate yourself, and you did like up and moved into her, because you're trying to create the distinction of tap and stay away from me, not tap and come to my side. Okay. Right. That was better. Good. Back to my side. Two more.
Heel. Heel.
Tap forward.
Stay.
Good. Yeah, just thought about it. Up, tap, away. Good. Back to the side. Good. One more.
Heel.
Good. Right. So when you did the up, you didn't complete it.
Okay.
You like went up and you bobbed it again, and then you already started going to the next thing.
Okay.
It would have been up. Make sure we get that sit again.
Right.
Remember, then delay, let it sink in,
Okay.
and then the movement. Okay.
Okay.
You're like next step.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's confusing her because she's seeing you move real quick, and her brain hasn't registered. Oh, I'm supposed to not move.
Okay. So just slow down. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Try it again.
Heel. Stay.
Up. Tap. Up. There you go. But right. Remember, up, right. Let it resolve.
Okay.
Don't move to the next step until that's resolved.
Correct. There you go.
Tap up, and then
Once she's sitting, and once you feel like, okay, we're done, now you move to the next tap. Remember, don't bob. Like pressure. There you go. There you go. Up, tap. Did you catch yourself there?
Yeah. To stop.
Right, like you pulled up, like you're doing like leash pops.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, yeah.
Is that for like before? Yeah. So it's gradual pressure, right? And I would shorten maybe another. So yeah, so you want to think,
just hold up.
that you can keep her away, because we're going between giving slack and shortening the leash, right? When you're walking with her, we want slack because that lets us know she's walking with us. But here, because I know the dog's gonna have issues, because we've done heel for so long that we need shorter, it gives you more immediate leverage, because right when you pull up, you're going to keep you with tension, as opposed to if you have a slack leash, you're all the way up here, but then the dog's all the way over here as well, right? Unlearning that leash popping habit.
So holding it like in this scenario, I'm holding it like I would when I want her to sit.
Correct.
Right?
So like, if I'm Elsa and I get up, you pull up, right, and you're tapping, and then the butt goes down, and then everything resolves. She gets up, pull up, tap, she resolves, and then once this is settled, then we go to the ground. Okay, let's try it again.
Heel.
Good pivot, right? Have that left hand ready just in case. A little bit up with it. There you go. Yeah, much better. Good. Right. Good. So there. Your part was correct. Now she moved a bit.
Yeah.
I don't care about everything. You're trying to create the her, she's like, tap means put your butt down. And once she figures that out, you're not going to get the big old swivel over here. She's going to figure it out quicker and just sit here. Okay. So for this week, in terms of practicing this, on your walks, you hit a stop sign, you hit a red light, stay, practice while you're waiting for the green light. Okay. Elsa poops. After she poops, you can up, tap into a sitting position, give the stay, pick up the poop, come back, heel.
Okay.
You see a garbage can, stay, stepping out, throw it away, back to the side, heel. Okay. In my opinion, stay is like the least useful command. Because I just say sit down or place if I need a dog to not move for a bit.
Right.
But in terms of application, or like for some people, like if their dog's super reactive, when they go through threshold or something, they might say stay, go through the door. Any dogs that were clear, heel, and then it'll keep it moving. Okay? So that's another application of it.
Okay.
The next logical step here would be, you do the half moons, and then you're able to do a full circle around her.
Right.
Now, you may find if you're doing a full circle, if Elsa is sitting, you might see something like this. Okay? You don't remote it. Okay? It fixes itself.
Yeah.
Okay? Once the dog figures out, oh, I don't move, fine. You only up and tap if she were to lay down or stand up, or that butt starts to come up. As long as the butt's on the ground, it's like a little loophole.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen. Always just goes away once the dog figures out not to move. Okay.
Right.
So review the healing stuff. You can catch Peter up on the turns and stuff, and then next class we'll start working on the long leash recall.
Cool.
Any questions?
We might return the leash and then we're on
I
Amazon.
ripped up the bag.
It's fine. Yeah, recall's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No,
This is
think
great.
you're good.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. Good job. Good work, guys.
Thanks.
Let me know if you need anything. Shoot me an email.
Okay.
And also, if you need a like a review, we put up on my YouTube. You can just look up Elsa,
Yeah.
and any videos we have of her will pop up.
Cool.
Or you can look up Stay. You can see other dogs we've done Stay with if you're trying to get a visual.
Okay.
And I'm doing more stuff to like educate people on what the command should look like.
Right.
Like I had someone say like because we use e-collar that we're lazy, all this crap, right? And I'm like, if the other methods work really well, there'd be more well-trained dogs.
Right.
Like if now you start to see this, right? What you're gonna start noticing is when you see people walking their dogs, you're gonna start noticing, holy crap, there's really a lot of dogs that are not well-trained.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right?
I've already started noticing myself.
Yeah, you're gonna as you learn more and you start to see like the difference, you're gonna think, oh wow, right? So I started making videos on this is what heel looks like. This is what a stay's supposed to look like.
Right.
This is a recall, right? Dogs playing with a bunch of dogs. The dogs shooting back to the owner. That's what it's supposed to look like.
Right.
People tend to excuse, oh, they were distracted, they were playing with their friends. I'm like, yeah, not a big deal there, but when your dog is running away, chasing a squirrel towards the street, now we have a problem.
Right.
So, yeah, but if you have any other questions, let us know. Otherwise, it's a pleasure meeting you, Peter.
Yeah, you too, Jesse.
And then you're more than welcome to come out on Saturdays as well.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'll see you next Sunday.
Okay.
And then Bree helped you with the muzzle?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Good. Great.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jesse.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Jesse. And Enrique.